Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the largest gated community in North America, spanning 26,000 acres in the Ouachita Mountains in south central Arkansas. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and some occasional guests as we explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. McGraw Realtors, located in the heart of Hot Springs Village, is the fastest growing real estate office with over 30 agents and staff. Executive brokers Lori and Ken Henderson, along with realtor and waterfront specialist Rick Marshall, they're eager to share the special features of Hot Springs Village with you. For a complimentary relocation packet, call Ken and Lori at 501-276-3018 or call Rick Marshall at 501-601-RICK. They are McGraw Realtors of Hot Springs Village. Renaissance Homes builds spec homes ready for sale and custom homes. Brandon Tedder and his team make the process easy. Renaissance Homes incorporates solid construction methods from the ground up. Brandon is a certified green builder. With a fixed price approach, detailed spec sheet, you'll know upfront how much it will cost. Every job has a dedicated project manager and an in-house design expert. From permitting to landscaping, Renaissance Homes is the preferred builder headquartered right here inside Hot Springs Village. Today we're going to take a hike on the Magellan Beaver Dam Trail. This trail was formed in 1999. You'll hear us walking. You'll hear us crunching the leaves in the background. You may hear us occasionally run into some other folks on this trail. We rarely run into anybody, but today we ran into a group of about 4 folks, and then later on we saw another couple. We didn't pass them, but we saw them across the way. This is a mile long. It's a half a mile to the end, and then it's a half a mile back. But we take a circular route, and we kind of walk along the Cedar Creek, which is flowing today because you know me, I'm a sucker for rolling water. And you'll hear Ron and I kind of talking in the background. Well, yeah, you know, we're not going to walk in complete silence. I usually kind of just detach the audio from these, but I'm like, you know, it's kind of cool walking in the leaves this time of year. So greetings and welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you clicked play. I hope you'll subscribe and like the video. I need more of you to do that. I don't know that it helps anything. It makes me feel better about myself. So I'm insecure like that. Are you a Van Morrison fan? Yeah, me too. Van Morrison, I'm a big, longtime fan of Van Morrison. And back in, it was about this time of year, 1979, there was a song that came out, Bright Side of the Road, and it was on his album Into the Music. I think it may have even been a bonus track. And it also made a movie called Michael that featured John Travolta as Michael, an angel. And it's a very upbeat song. It's awesome. I love it. I listen to it regularly. Bright Side of the Road by Van Morrison. I may put a link to a YouTube video. I can't play it because we'll get a copyright strike. But if I could play it, man, I would play it. Because this is a day to play a song like that. And it really speaks to what's on my mind today as we take this walk together. There are really kind of 2 distinct phases of retirement or retirement age. You know, we're at this season of life, and just like any other season of life, it's kind of interesting to me that people that are younger believe that once you get to some age, then everybody just kind of fits in the same mold. And back in your 20s, nobody did. In your 30s, nobody did. In your 40s, nobody did. In your 50s, nobody did. In your 60s, nobody is. In your 70s and 80s, nobody is. Now into your 90s, nobody is. Our lives are very, very different. And this is not an episode about judgment of your life being one way or the other, but it is about us thinking about exploring kind of the 2 distinct phases and ways of life that I hear about. Because, again, I'm conducting Zoom calls. If you're interested in that, shoot me an email, hello@hsvinsideout.com. I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call. I'm especially interested in talking to those of you that are considering coming to Hot Springs Village for a visit or considering moving to Hot Springs Village, and you've got questions. And so that's what began this some months ago, these kind of open office hours on Zoom. And as I have these conversations, and we're about to run into these four folks that I told you about, some of these trees they've got identifiers on them, and they tell you a little bit about what kind of a tree it is. And these folks were reading one of those, and you'll find that on all of the trails here inside the village, which is kind of interesting for those of us that don't necessarily know our trees by sight. So it kind of helps you learn some things. There's also some placards along this trail that show you birds and various wildlife, and you can read those descriptions as well. So pretty cool. We're walking this trail today. This is the first week of November 2025. You can tell there's not a cloud in the sky. It's in the late afternoon. It's about 70 degrees, super comfortable, and it's terrific. And you're going to see some water flowing up ahead because the Balboa Spillway has been opened. It opened on like a Monday. I think this is a Tuesday that we're walking this. But back to these multiple faces of people at retirement age. I run into people and they're busy. And many of us, like me, we're busy working, and we're working in part maybe because we have to, but we're working also because we enjoy it. We like it. And we don't want to just sit around and do nothing. Now, there are other people, and they absolutely positively are looking forward to sitting around and doing nothing and having nothing on their calendar and being able to wake up every morning and just take the day on however they choose to. I don't care how you do that as long as you do it the way you want. I can tell you really what prompted me to hit record on this idea is going into a Walmart, going into Sam's Club, watching people, and I'm struck in complete truth. Yes, I'm judging appearances, and they may not be completely accurate. I completely get that. But I can look at some folks who just seem to have some energy, and I can look at other people who just, sadly, they just appear so stinking defeated. I don't want you to be defeated. I just want you to thrive in this season of life. And I realize that there are many among us who are just trying to survive this time of life. And this isn't an episode about money. It's not about health. It's not about luck. It really, if there's anything that would describe it, any one word that would describe it, I think that word would be purpose. It would be purpose. And I bring up the Van Morrison song, The Bright Side of the Road, is because that really is what I hope today to help you do. I hope to help you find your way toward the brighter side of life. So let's talk about the joy. Let's talk about all of the benefits of, I guess, staying engaged. Yeah, I think the happiest retirees that we know about, the people that we've grown up, we saw them, or we now see them, or maybe we see other YouTube videos, or we hear stories of people, are the people who really, they haven't really ever retired in that they haven't just stopped. They've just kind of shifted their gears. They don't clock in every day. They don't get up in the morning and drive to the office or drive to a workplace, but they still get up every morning because they've got a reason to. And it might be because, okay, on Tuesday, they're going to get up and they're going to hike like here Rhonda and I are. This is on a Tuesday afternoon. This was after a full day of me getting a few things done, Rhonda getting a few things done. It may be in Bible study, some time that we both do that. It may be in doing some mentoring, which is largely what my coaching practice is about. It could be playing golf. It could be any number of things. But we figured out that getting up in the morning and doing something that's meaningful to us is a real key. It can be a real key to just feeling alive. And I hear the word over and over and over, useful, being useful. Met a guy recently, used to be in sales, and he said, I'm still in sales. I'm still in sales. Now I'm just trying to sell a little bit of uplifting, and I think the word he used was enthusiasm, because here's a fella, he got to this phase of life, and really what he wanted to do is he wanted to volunteer his time. He had some groups that he was members of, and he wanted to stay engaged in being a member of these groups, and he wanted to encourage people. He wanted to even help solicit newcomers to come into the group. And frankly, admitted that he was having as much fun as he had back when he was in his 20s. And he's not doing it for money. He's doing it because he really likes the way it makes him feel. And mostly it makes him feel valuable. And that's the thing about purpose. It transcends a paycheck. Now, it may include a paycheck, which is perfectly okay. But it really, I kind of just think, serves to give us kind of a heartbeat metaphorically in our life. There's research from Stanford that says retirees who stay socially connected and mentally active live longer, happier lives. Well, duh, that's no big shock. I don't need to be a Stanford degree graduate to figure that out. All we got to do is walk into any of the clubs around here. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be anything from art to bridge to fishing to photography to music to archery. Walk into any of the clubs, any groups inside Hot Springs Village, and you will see it. You will see people who are laughing. You will see people who are teasing each other. You'll see people who are creating. You'll see people who are competing. And they're not just passing time. You'll see people that are building lives, because largely they're building relationships. I love these cypress knees, rather. I really like them. Reminds me of growing up in Louisiana. Building a life, building relationships. What we notice is that people who stay busy by choice, especially with things that they care about, they have an energy. And hopefully that energy is contagious. We all know the moniker, and we all know that it's true. We all knew it was true back in our working days, and if we're still working, we absolutely know it's true. If you want it done, give it to a busy person. That person who's got all the time on their hands, and you try to get them to do something, good luck with that. So we're talking about people who may have traded a career ambition for some personal mission, like the previous sales guy that I tell you about, but it's not trying to prove anything anymore. It's really, it's chasing fulfillment. The word that I keep using over and over is significance. We're at this stage of life, and I think it's probably true for all of us at every stage of life, but it's particularly true, I think, for those of us that are older. We really don't want to lose our significance. We want to remain significant to our family. We want to remain significant to our friends. We want to remain significant to our communities. We're just trying to enjoy something that matters, and it's a really, really powerful shift that we make at this stage of our life. Yeah, but there are lots of hurdles. There are lots of struggles along the way, and some of those struggles are quiet. Some of them, they're not so quiet. The quiet struggle that leaps to my mind is the struggle of boredom. It's boredom, because not everybody's able to make this shift in this stage of life as easily. For some people, I certainly know this firsthand from all the Zoom calls that I'm having with you. Retirement sometimes can come like a wave that just, it knocks you down. And then it's a matter of, well, okay, how hard do you want to work to get back up? One day that you're needed. One day you've got a certain title in the workplace. One day you've got this team of people perhaps that need you, count on you, your phone's ringing, your calendar's full, your inbox is always full. There's just a constant flurry of activity and connections with people at work, and then all of a sudden, that's gone. All of a sudden, you retire and you leave the workplace, and now it's quiet. And it's a quiet that at very first, it can feel like a vacation, but then it doesn't feel like a vacation. It then becomes like a funeral. And boredom in older age, it seems to me, can be a real sneaky, quiet thing that can really disturb us because it doesn't just show up all at once. It just kind of creeps in through the routines that start to shrink. And all of a sudden, there's a little less socializing. There's a little more TV. There's a little less motivation to get out. And before long, the days just kind of blur together. There is some data on this, but hey, before we get into that, we're coming up on this Cedar Creek. Cedar Creek, it's Cedar Creek. And because this spillway has been open from Lake Balboa, we're coming up on the sound of rushing water, so I'm going to let you hear it. It's pretty awesome out here today. Did you know that studies show that loneliness and isolation in older adults can have the same health impact as smoking 15 cigarettes a day? I mean, that's research. That's from the National Institute on Aging. I mean, it literally shortens our lives. But even before it shortens our lives, you and I both know, because we've seen this in the lives of older folks that we have observed growing up, and maybe, sadly, maybe we're seeing it in our own life. It not just shortens lives, but it can shrink a life. And this is really what we want to avoid. You know, you talk to some people who have fallen into that rut, and they tell you how invisible they feel. And sometimes they mistake it for people ignoring them, but it really isn't that. It really is because they just stop showing up. Because here's the truth. When you stop doing, you stop becoming. And it's a really dangerous place to be. And there's some folks in the village who've told me, you know, I just don't know what to do anymore. You know, they finished the to-do list, they painted the house, they organized the garage, they did whatever was on that list, and okay, now what? It's that then what? where the real work starts, because boredom isn't being solved by being busy. It's solved by being engaged. I'm a sucker for this moving water. You know, we can be busy and we can still be miserable. And we can be quietly content, and we can be filled with purpose, and our calendars don't have to look jam-packed. Every minute of every day doesn't have to be scheduled. So it really is not about noise, and more appropriately, it's not about motion. You know, there are a lot of people that they confuse motion with achievement. They confuse motion with getting something done. Like if they're constantly moving and they're always got something going on, and they just seem like they're just busy, busy, busy. But doing what? They're getting nowhere. They're getting nothing done. It's not about any of that. No, it's about meaning. It's about meaning, which is why I keep going back to the point of it all being purpose. Look at these skies. The skies this time of year are extraordinary. They've amazed me since I was a kid. Fall skies. They're just gorgeous. So how do we maintain? How do we rediscover our purpose? And I would add to that our play, because there's no question that we get to this stage of life and we want enough bandwidth, we want enough margin in our calendar and our space to play. And that play can look like anything from literally playing golf or pickleball or tennis to taking a trip. So how do you find that again? How do you find that? I think, as with most things, you start small. You start small. And what I have learned is to remain curious. I've noticed that the happiest people here inside Hot Springs Village, as well as all the ones that I know back in Texas and all over the country for that matter, are the ones who just want to continue to learn, the ones who just absolutely positively know for a fact that they don't know it all, willing to try new things, sometimes awkward, sometimes doing something badly, but keep trying. Just keep trying. Lots of folks at this stage of life take on brand new activities, things they've never tried before. And as with most things, we're not going to be great at it right out of the gate. But still, we try. lady here inside the village in her 70s. She takes up painting watercolor. Never has picked up a paintbrush before in her life. And she says, I'm not any good at it, but I love how I feel when I'm doing it. The art's not very good. But that's not the point. I think she's onto something. I think the secret isn't being good at it. The secret isn't being a master at something that you've never done before in your life. But the thing is doing something that you've never done in your life before, because it makes you feel like you're alive. The purpose doesn't have to be some big earth-shattering thing. It doesn't have to be some global kind of a thing. It doesn't even have to look that impressive. I think it just needs to feel right. And there are a lot of people who rediscover that through volunteering. Some people discover it through mentoring. Some people discover it through travel. Some people discover it. Listen, I can look out and I can see my neighbor, my 98-year-old neighbor, to see if she or her daughter have put out, and she lives by herself. Her daughter also lives here in the village, to see if the trash bin got put out. And if it got put out, then I know tomorrow after the trash truck comes, I know what I'm going to do. I'm immediately going to go over and I'm going to roll hers right to her garage door, so that all she does is open her garage door and then drags it inside. It prevents her from walking all the way out to the street. Is it for exercise? No. It's just doing something that I know can be helpful to her. And there's just something rewarding about that. There's something good about it. Yeah, it's neighborly, and I'm not saying it for that reason. I'm not bragging about myself. It's a super small thing. But it's the kind of thing that can make a difference in the quality of our daily life. I talked about getting up in the morning and making my bed. It's these itty-bitty things. It's things like listening to this water. You will find retirees and those of us at retired age here inside Hot Springs Village who can report that we are as busy, maybe busier than we were in our 40s. And you will find many of us who are finally doing what we want to do, not what we have to do. You will find others of us, my hands in the air, who are doing work that we've been doing for years, but we still enjoy doing the work. We're peering out through the trees to the Magellan Golf Course. So when you take this trek along the creek, you come up kind of on the backside of kind of the legit trail. You can tell this is a trail because other people have walked it too. But I think this is really about just about not losing that spark. And if we have lost it, to find it again, because it's not gone. It's still there. It might be buried, and it may be buried under, just a litany of kind of old routines and habits. So ask yourself what used to make you lose track of time. We've all done it. We've all sat down and we've all engaged in something, sitting or otherwise, and time just evaporated. And kind of it's that age-old moniker, what would you do if nobody was watching? What would you do if nobody was judging? What would you do if it didn't make sense to anybody but you? What would you do if it didn't matter about the money? I think maybe that's a good starting point. Well, let's talk about the rhythm of life here inside Hot Springs Village, because life here is unique. It's a unique backdrop. It's peaceful enough that you can rest. It's active enough that you can stay very engaged. You got people on kayaks at sunrise. You got pickleball courts that are packed by 8 a.m. on a good day. You got hiking trails. You've got a lot of groups that I said, they're laughing, they're cutting up, they're having a good time. And then at evening, it can be quiet. The lake is still. The streets are calm. The skies are dark, and you can be as social, you can be as solitary as you want to be. And that's the beauty and the challenge of living here inside Hot Springs Village, because it's an easy place to hide in comfort. It's an easy place for us to say, listen, I've earned my time to just slow down and not worry about showing up. And it's also easy to wake up and to decide, I'm not done yet. I got stuff today I want to get done. It's the great thing about Hot Springs Village. It has this rhythm that invites you to go the way you want to go. You want to retreat for the day. You want to re-engage. You want to withdraw, you want to connect. You can do either one. And each day doesn't have to be the same. People often say, I thought I was retiring from something, but it turns out I was retiring to something. And I think that's a great way to look at it. And it's absolutely a way that I would encourage you, because it's a mindset that really can make a difference, to grab a hold of something as opposed to letting go of something. So when you retire to something, hopefully it's here inside Hot Springs Village, life stays pretty open. And when you retire from everything, well, life can really shut down, and I don't want your life to shut down. We're making our way toward the end of the trail here. These are kind of the two faces of older age. I guess it could be summed up between thriving or struggling, thriving or surviving. And the same person can experience both things, as we all well know. And they're choices that we make, and they're choices that we make over and over again. We make these choices every day of our life. Some days, listen, I want to stay in bed. And other days, I don't want to stay in bed. I think it's normal. I think the trick is to just keep moving toward the purpose, keep moving towards significance, and do it even in the small ways, because it's the small things. It's walking this trail. It's going out and rolling my neighbor's trash bin back up to her garage. So let me leave you with some questions. What face are you wearing? Which face are you wearing? Are you wearing a thriving face? Are you wearing a surviving face? And if it's not the one that you want, what small thing can you do right now? What small thing could you do tomorrow morning to change it? Because the good life, especially here inside Hot Springs Village, is not about just being busy, never having any time to breathe or to think. No, that's not the issue. It's about being engaged. It's about being significant. It's about feeling like you make a difference. It's about feeling like you matter, because you do matter. You do matter. And it's not that we've got to matter to everybody. We just have to matter to some. There are a lot of folks on the planet that you don't care about. You don't know about them. That's okay, because there's plenty of people in your circle who you do know. And there's plenty of people in your circle who know you. And I don't know. Maybe we just start there. In spite of the fact that I started this show back in 2021, it was never about popularity. It was never about me. It was always about this place, this magical, magical place, this enchanted forest in which we can live, called Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. And as you can tell by the footage, it's just so ridiculously wonderful and peaceful and pleasant and all the other stuff. And it's why you need to come visit. You must come visit. You must come check it out. And when you visit, you're going to find that the pictures don't do it justice. The video doesn't do it justice. The audio of the running water does not do it justice. You need to see it up close and in person and in real life. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed the conversation and you want more, then hit that subscribe button. Share it with a friend. We've all got friends. It's amazing the number of people who have come here from far places and some not so far. And they've brought friends and visitors who have come over. And they have been the gateway, the introduction to their friends and their family of this place. And they're like, I didn't even know this place existed. And there's quite a number of people I run into. And they've brought folks with them. Folks have followed them over here, because once you get inside here and you feel like you can breathe, and it's awesome and it's peaceful, it's awfully, awfully tempting. And I'm really pleased. I'm super pleased that increasingly I'm running into people who are not at retirement age. They're well ahead of retirement in that they're years away from retiring, but they came here anyway because work afforded them the opportunity to do it, because many of them work remotely. And that may be you. It may be that you're just planning retirement, and retirement may be a decade or more away. Man, kudos to you, because you're way ahead of the rest of us. I didn't even think about moving to this place until a few years ago, and I'm well past traditional retirement age. So kudos to you guys. All right, we're going to walk out the rest of the way, and I'm just going to leave you with the footprints that we're leaving on this trail as we traipse our way to the end. Share today's show with a friend if you feel like that friend might need a little bit of a spark in their life today that this conversation could help. In the meanwhile, stay curious, stay connected, keep on showing up. My name's Randy. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Hot Springs Village Inside Out. You'll find all our episodes at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com or on YouTube.